Alright, guys, hey, we're here, we're live. Welcome to another episode of TGVGR. Dead air. BBU.
Hello. Sorry, I was doing a big yawn.
Big yawn. I felt like that's what I was doing during the state of play, to be honest, for the most part.
Mm, yeah. What's kind of funny about that though is that I was kind of excited because I thought it was going to be Nintendo Direct in the same day,
hmm
and the state of play was like, well, we'll watch that afterwards, or we'll watch that first and then watch the one we really want to see afterwards, the Direct. But you said it was actually an announcement about their next Direct, which is just when E3 is going on.
Yeah, so
So we just had this to watch.
everywhere that talked about it said the Nintendo Direct, the new Nintendo Direct coming out on Thursday, blah blah blah. So everybody tuned in, and it was like a 5 minute video that all it did was say our next Nintendo Direct is going to be available at E3. So it was like it wasn't a direct as much as it
Cheated.
was, yeah, an announcement. And everybody that I talked to was like, "Yo, it's time for some Animal Crossing update."
Hmm.
So speaking of Animal Crossing, now that's something that you've been streaming this past week, maybe week and a half. You've been playing all kinds of Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
It's going all right. City Folk going a bit better, and that was the one I started with. Um, and then at some point I decided to check two towns in a day,
Mm.
and I started the original Animal Crossing for the GameCube for super nostalgia. And this And it hates me so much. I don't think Nook wants me to pay off the debt. I still don't have a fishing rod after like 4 or 5 days.
God, it's so weird that you haven't gotten a fishing rod yet. But let's see. So you have what, three? Is that three open Animal Crossing towns or just two? Not
Well,
counting.
those are
Not,
the two that I'm streaming, but the ones I play off stream just, on my 3DS, that's like two more.
yeah, I was gonna say not counting your uh, handheld ones. So you've got two open. You mentioned, we went and checked out somebody who was streaming New Leaf, and I'm gonna tell you, like they were doing things in that game I didn't even. First, I never would have thought about doing, but second, I didn't even know you could do it. Like they had all
Yeah,
these.
they're setting up these pathways and making it look all organized and nice and planning out where to put their bushes and their trees and oh, I'll put this freaking what is it? Wind turbine right here and put these paths around it and they put the paths exactly centered where the wind turbine would fit. And I'm like, wow, that's so precise. My original town, even though it has, like some nice Japanese themed stuff around, it's all over the place. And since I picked the beautifying ordinance, it took me a second to remember the word. It has too many flowers in it.
Yeah, my
So it's a big mess.
I remember visiting your town, and before I got there, you said, "Just remember, do not run in my town. Like, don't
Because
run." And
I
that's
don't
true.
want to wear colorful flowers.
You pretty much cannot move in that town
Yeah.
at all. Um,
Although I have tempted to ask you to come to my town to just like dig up a whole bunch of flowers that I don't care are there. I just didn't want to lose like my gold flowers and the Jacob's ladders and the
sure.
Mother's Day carnations and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely like, based off of just New Leaf alone, like I'm definitely excited to see what the Nintendo Switch version, like what
Yeah.
look at what we got with Pokemon and upgrades graphic wise and looks wise, and I can't wait to see what that upgraded Animal Crossing is going to look like.
Like I want to be super hyped, but I'm more like cautiously optimistic because of course I'm gonna buy it anyway because it's Animal Crossing.
Hmm.
But I'm worried it'll end up like City Folk, which is not really much of a step up and kind of a disappointment
Right.
in comparison. Like City Folk was pretty much Wild World, but with the small city area added in, that was like nothing.
Yeah. Well, I know. So you're also streaming a game called Cat Quest. I was watching
Hmm.
it a little bit last night. Paul Hebbs was there. You know,
Dang, apparently I was really in the mood for some Cat Quest though.
well,
Played
yeah,
for a long time.
I was actually surprised when I looked down and saw how long you had been playing it. I wish we could figure out what's going on with your internet that's splitting videos up, but it didn't seem to do that for Cat Quest.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering. There's got to be some kind of conflict somewhere, but we'll get to that part eventually.
Yeah,
So
eventually. I guess in the meantime, if everyone follows me, bear with me if you can, please. I'm still very much noob, and Titan helps me as much as he can, but there's only so much he can take of my derp.
the alrighty. So uh, you know, I'll talk about a couple more things before we really get into this. So those are the main games you're streaming. Screaming.
Ah!
You're streaming Animal Crossing. You're streaming Animal Crossing City Folk, and you're streaming Cat Quest. Do
Mhm.
you have plans for streaming some other things coming up?
Yeah, it still depends, of course, what I can actually handle, but I've looked at some nostalgic games and I'm like, ooh, maybe this would be a cool one. I don't see anyone talking about this one, and I can show them how much I kind of like it.
Hmm.
And even though it's probably way overdone, I have actually thought about streaming some Nuzlocke just for the heck of it.
And I won't give anything away, but I will throw this little bit of a teaser out there. You mentioned to me, and we still don't know if it's a possibility yet or not, but you got your hands on a fan made copy of another game that was never released in the United States.
Oh.
Um, I'm actually kind of excited to watch it. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, and as far as myself, you guys might have noticed that I've been doing some odd streaming on days when I normally wouldn't stream, or streaming at times where I wouldn't stream, and that's because I have so many open games. Like, I want to get to some different
Also, it's my
games.
fault. I was nagging him to stream more because he's like, "There's so many games I want to stream," and I'm like, "Well, I guess you gotta increase your playtime a wee bit."
Yeah, I can't get to them without finishing the open games. So
At least you have a more consistent schedule than I have. I don't really write down my schedule or anything, but so far it just seems to be I check both towns, and if I have time, I do cat quests in a row.
I mean, it's written down. It doesn't mean I'm sticking to it. But for those that have been, yes, I've been doing Red Dead Redemption, the original one again. But this time for the first time on stream. This is a game I've beaten several times. If you haven't noticed, there's a new scared horse emote, and for those that have tuned in, they know exactly why. But the reason why I kind of wanted to bring that up was because, like as I mentioned before, in the original Red Dead, I am friends with some and acquaintances of others of people who did the voice acting. And Joe Ochman, who we had on the show, did the voice of Jiminy Cricket in Kingdom Hearts, and he was the professor in the original Red Dead. And Rob Weedoff, Joe we've had on the show already. Rob Weedoff, who was the voice of John Marston in both Red Deads, he's a friend of mine. I'm working on trying to get him on the show. He's an extremely busy guy, and they've been doing a lot of tours and conventions, and it's still going, believe it or not.
That natural cowboy voice attracts a lot of attention.
And another one is Steve Palmer, who does the voice of Bill Williams. Now, I've been trying to get Steve on the show since before Red Dead 2, but I'm having some issues with his people, like not him personally, like he gets back to me, but like they have certain people that they have to go through. One of them
Like
being,
agents or
yeah,
something.
yeah, but one of them actually being Rockstar, because so Rockstar kind of like
Oh,
moderates
jeez.
that stuff. But hopefully in the future, I will be able to pull in both of those guys. Steve Palmer is the voice of Bill Williams in both Red Dead Redemptions, and he's done some other voice work, and he's a pretty awesome dude. So I'm hoping at one point, I actually talked with him this morning, but I'm hoping at one point we'll get him in as well. So we are gonna have. Oh, and I did go ahead and put in my request to go ahead and get Tara Strong on. I've known her for a long time.
Holy crap.
I'm trying to pull the favor card. Like, hey, we've been buds for a while, so can you want to come hang out on the podcast for, even if you only come on for 35 minutes or so. And so I'm waiting to hear back. We'll see how that goes. But how cool to have Tara Strong. And I told her I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'm getting ready to be streaming a specific game that she did the voice work for, and so I told her how hand in hand, like, this would be so cool that you come on and do the show, and then I'm streaming this game. Like, it's I just thought it would be cool.
hmm
All right, so upward and onward, we're gonna discuss some stuff that we saw in the state of play. For those of
hmm
you that don't know, this is like PlayStation's kind of rip off of the Nintendo Direct, and I understand why they want to do it, but the first one they put out was horrible. I mean, and the one game on it that you thought was going to be exclusive got announced like a week or two ago that it's also coming to Switch. So anybody
That is
who,
that the Crash game, or you mean the
yeah,
Concrete Jungle?
the Crash game. So anybody who
Okay.
was thinking that they were going to get that Crash Bandicoot Racing exclusive for PS4, sadly mistaking. It
Mm.
is going to be on the Switch, and yes, that concrete. What was it? Concrete what?
I thought it was Concrete Jungle, but I might be wrong. Concrete something.
Yeah, it was Concrete something. That game I'm definitely gonna own. That was an amazing looking game.
That's where it was kind of like where the wild things are
Yeah,
feel
where he
with
was like
like
painting
concrete
on.
graffiti and they come to life.
Yeah, he was like painting on the wall, and he could interact with them, and the game looked amazing. So I'll be
I love
honest.
whimsical games like that. I can't help it.
Yeah, and the whole time I was watching it, I was like, they're really just throwing a lot of VR games at us right now, and I'm just not.
Mm.
It is what it is. I
That's probably why the first one sucked. It was like 90% VR and then this game.
yeah. So the second one came out, and the second state of play. This was Thursday, and so the first thing on there that we'll talk about is for people who play Monster Hunter World. They're coming out with a new DLC content. That's right, DLC.
DLC/expansion. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if it'll be free or you need to buy it.
You're probably gonna have to buy it.
Mm.
So, but anyway, it sets it, in a world where it's like frozen over and it's snow, and it's got some new monsters, some old monsters, and
Unfortunately, we can't name them because we don't know Monster Hunter very well, but I do remember one of the monsters it showcased was like a Black Panther looking dragon, and I think people like that one.
oh, it had that weird,
It's really fast and red eyes.
werewolf looking thing that's gonna give me
Yeah, that's what
nightmares.
I mean. It's kind of like Black Panther, wolf looking
Okay.
thing, red eyes, very fast.
Now, if Sophia was in here, she could tell you exactly what all those
Hmm.
monsters are. I'm sure she's been grinding away at Monster Hunter the last few times I've seen her stream. Um, I still
Hardcore.
I still haven't even started Monster Hunter World. So, um,
Oh, speaking of that, real quick, I can't remember what the exact date is. I think it's actually very soon, like around the end of May. But a kind of free to play light clone ish kind of game, um, like Monster Hunter is coming to PS4 and PC.
oh, okay.
So it's like free to play version of Monster Hunter, but a little bit simplified and lighter.
Hmm.
For those that are interested.
Oh, and also I'll just throw this out there real quick because I mentioned something about it on stream the other day. So if you bought Red Dead Redemption,
Dauntless. Sorry, that's what it's called. I was
oh,
forgetting the name, that's why I didn't say it's called Dauntless.
Da-
Okay, go ahead.
Dauntless. Okay. So if you own Red Dead Redemption 2 and you're playing the Red Dead online, I had mentioned before that you pretty much don't want to. It doesn't have a whole lot of players, and the players that are there to grief.
Hmm.
So I saw an announcement today that PS4 is offering for people to be able to play Red Dead Online without being a member of PlayStation Plus. So, but only for like a limited time. So I think
Oh.
that's to get more people playing it because there's nobody on there. But hopefully, to get enough people on there that they can kind of start putting an end to all that griefing that's going on. Because it's literally all it is. Like if you log into the game, it's probably you and maybe 22 other people in this vast, expansive world. The chance of you even running into somebody is remote, but when you do, they're going to rob you. They're going to take all
Mhm.
your stuff. They're going to kill you, and they're going to make you respawn. So,
And at that point, if everyone is playing only that way, you have to kind of fight fire with fire. And I mean, if you don't mind that gameplay, it's okay. But I mean, how much can you possibly play constant griefing and negative,
and
stuff like that?
to be honest, if you've got to play that safe to where you have to worry about that, you might as well just be playing the offline single player mode anyway. So, hopefully it'll fix some of their situation, but we'll see. Red Dead 2 is still an amazing game. The Red Dead Online still needs a lot of work. Um, so also,
So are
it,
you gonna be saving like the best for last
oh
for the
yeah,
state of play thing?
oh yeah.
Okay.
So, well, I've only got one more and then that to talk about. So, um, one of the trailers that I saw and I immediately got super giddy
Mm-hmm.
for was
Ooh.
they have done an HD remaster of the game Medieval. And I just kind of fangirled out for a second because I did like that game before, and the new shiny graphics look great, but they kept like all the sense of humor. The guy with no jaw doing his muffled talking, and but everything looked really good. Like all the animation, the artwork, the environments, everything that they
Goofy and grim and fun looking at the same time.
exactly. So everything that they tried to improve, they did a really good job of improving. So
Dang, if they did remasters like that all the time, I would probably buy a lot more old games I missed out on. Like first is Spyro, where they're super loyal and passionate about remaking it, well, not remaking it, but remastering it and adding more details that didn't have to be there, but they add depth. And then the medieval one, or medieval, I don't know why I say it like medieval. I think because the
Medieval.
way they spell it, or
Mm-hmm.
emphasis on certain words, but yeah.
Yep. So I'm really like stoked about that.
Now, if
Um,
only they would do Death Junior, because that you said that reminds you of that game, and it sounds really cute.
I love Death Junior on the PSP. Death Junior had to be my favorite game, and I normally don't like those kind of like action platformer games. But one, this game was so cute. Two, it had kind of like this Adams Family feel to it because you play as Death as a little kid, and you start off in school, and you're with all these other like weirdo sideshow freak type things, like the baby with two heads, the very gothic dark girl that's kind of like Wednesday from the Adams Family. And you guys are on a trip to a museum, and your friends get in trouble, and so now all of a sudden you gotta do stuff. And the thing about Death Junior was they start. That was like the start of the particle effects. Like, not only did this game just shine with the particle effects and stuff that it was doing, the blasts of magic that were multicolored that had little pieces that broke off, but it was the first game to really show just how strong the PSP was and how much it could handle on screen at one time when you have all that stuff going on. And it's just fun and quirky. And they made a sequel to it. They made Def Junior 2. I never really got around to playing the second one. I kind of played it a little bit, but not
Oh, I
really.
didn't know there was a second one.
I didn't play it like nearly as much as I did the original, but I may end up streaming Death Junior at some point. It's one
Yay!
it's one of those games where it's like I want to stream this because it's such a fun game, but with all
Well,
the game with all the games that I'm playing right
mm,
now and the games that I want to play, like where do I have time to throw Def Junior in there? And
you
that
could
could,
always save it for around October, November for themes, I
sure,
guess.
sure. And I mean that's one of those things that it also depends. My schedule, with the way it is, there are some openings if I decide I want to stream on Thursdays or even on Tuesdays. I don't normally do anything other than the podcast. But today you're going to stream after the podcast. You're going to do some Animal Crossing. And then I probably will stream a little bit after. I haven't decided exactly what I'm streaming yet. But I'm
Yeah, because
base
usually we don't today, so.
yeah, I'm basically only doing that to catch up. I'm doing that to catch up so that I can start clearing out and getting to the end credits of some of these games so that we can move on. Um,
My
and
suggestion would be more Pokemon Cute, because that one's probably like the shortest main campaign.
yeah,
If you kept
probably.
going, but I don't know if you'd be in the mood for more Pokemans.
I mean, I did turn it on this morning, not to like grind off stream or anything, but I turned it on to take a look at it and see where I was at so that I could look because I missed like the chance to get a Charmander early. So now the only way to get
Yeah,
to
it
it
was like
is
those people around the earlier cities, and like, oh, and they had the Pokemon standing next to them. It's like, oh, if you catch this many Pokemon, I'll give it to you.
yeah. Well, the problem with that is it's not at that spot. It was at the road before that, and unfortunately, it's a one-way road, so you have to make your way all the way around the map and then back up, unless you have
Mm.
something that has learned how to fly, and then you can fly over and yada yada. So, it's really, really strange anyway. But I do like. There's a lot of Pokemon that I missed out on, and it's not like I really need to get them. I just because I am trying to just push through the story mode part
Hmm.
so that later I can do that kind of stuff. I can go back, I can get the rare ones, I can do shiny hunting, I can do the, combo catch stuff for everything and whatnot. I'm just not really all that interested because if you've seen it like already, like people are like, oh, let's trade on Pokemon, let's do that. And I'm like, I don't even have it connected to Nintendo Live yet. Like, I just don't want to go through that. Yo, what's up, Avadram? So, oh, and another thing, this was I meant to kind of start the show off with this. It was kind of sad news, but Tim
Mm.
Conway died yesterday, and of course
Yeah,
they didn't break the news until today. If you don't know who Tim Conway is, he was an actor, super funny guy, and he was in a lot of my favorite shows. but a lot of people know him from like the Carol Burnett show or like the Dwarf Goes Fishing guy
Yeah.
or he's just been in so much stuff. And I remember recently watching an episode of the show Yes Dear where he plays the main character's dad. And I was sitting there thinking, Tim Conway's got to be getting up there in age, and he's one of those ones that's like Betty White. Like I don't want to come on one day and see that they've passed away, and unfortunately,
Mm.
that happened today. But Betty White's still alive and kicking. Um,
How old is she? Like,
97.
whew.
She's getting up there. So, and when Betty White goes, I probably will like actually cry for that one because I mean
Gonna
Betty
have to
White.
hold ourselves up in our rooms.
No kidding, man. Betty White's like a national treasure. She's
Like, I
lit.
don't know much about Tim Conway, but I remember when my mom would show me like some clips of the Carol Burnett show, or she would ask me to look them up just to see if they were there. The clips that he was in with that other guy, I can't remember his name. Dang it. But they would do these skits together, and he would usually end up making him crack up because he would rehearse the part just fine, but
Yeah,
then as soon as they were live, he would not screw up, but he would add stuff that was funny. It would make him crack up, and he tried to hold it back, and sometimes he couldn't hold it back, and he was just like crying from hysterics
yeah,
during like the dry cleaner scene or like the dentist scene or the oldest fireman scene or the oldest man in anything
yeah. That
scene.
that dentist scene is the one that I remember, and that one cracked me up for sure.
He
But he,
got I think the oldest man, or he got stuck in like a dry cleaner or a laundromat, and
mm,
he made him actually laugh so hard he couldn't talk. He
yep,
tried to say a line, he was like he sounded like that. It was so funny, I started crying too.
yeah. They break character so much. Um, so I guess
Sorry.
no, that's fine. So I guess I'll start off this next little part, and then I know you've got some tabs for some stuff that you want to talk about. So I'm
Mm.
gonna
We gotta finish the state of play first.
yeah, I'm just gonna talk about the last thing in the state of play that I cared about. They
And I'm
gave it
sure 90% of people did.
yeah, they gave us a new trailer for Final Fantasy VII, and let me just say this is one that I've been super on the fence about because I heard so many things that I wasn't sure if I was actually gonna like it. Even though Final Fantasy VII was like my favorite RPG of all time, I was like, the first trailer they showed, it looked like there was some stealth missions and they went to this action combat like the newer Final Fantasies, and so I was just kind of shaking my head like I really don't. Um, but they did show a lot of the newer character models and stuff, and they looked fantastic. Uh, but this latest trailer um, kind of blew me away, to be honest. Just the amount of detail they put into everything. I felt like okay, maybe I can overlook the action combat because the bottom line is the new Final Fantasy game is going to use the same combat system as Kingdom Hearts 3. And if it worked for Kingdom Hearts, I could see it working. I have not played this part of the whole backlog of stuff that needs to be streamed. I
Mhm.
have not played through like all the Kingdom Hearts, which I plan on doing.
Have you
Uh,
played any of them even off stream yet before?
I played I don't remember which one, but I played a Kingdom Hearts game for PlayStation 2
It was
long.
probably the first one then.
Yeah, a long time ago, and honestly, I did turn it off because it was like action-based combat and I kind of really wasn't in the mood to play it at the time. But
Okay, so technically you didn't. So let's just say it doesn't count.
yeah, so now that I have all the HD remasters for the PS4, I plan on giving them a shot because I want to play the crossover. I want to play this Square Enix Disney crossover stuff. And by the time I'm done with all of them, because there's a ton, should be around the time Kingdom Hearts is a greatest hits title, so I'll be able to pick that up and play it. But so yeah, they're saying that the new Final Fantasy is going to use the Kingdom Hearts battle system. There is still going to be materia, and they even showed examples of the materia being junctioned to the weapon, and you could see on some of the still shots the empty holes in some of the weapons where there was no materia, and then in some shots you could see where there was one hole that was filled up with a green materia, which is it's a magic materia for green. So They're definitely trying to keep it as true as possible, but the part that blew me away, and the part that's gonna make you all cry that know that this part of the story, is Aerith. So with Aerith, I'm gonna put this graphic up on the screen. This is what Aerith was like in the original Final Fantasy VII. We all know Aerith. We all, bonded with Aerith. We saved the flower girl. You're good to go. And most of you know what happens to Aerith in the game.
The tragedy.
It's one of the most talked about things. And I admit, when I first played Final Fantasy VII, I was like, there's no way. Like, she's not. That didn't happen. She'll be back later in the
Let's just get a Phoenix
story.
down when she comes back.
Well, not even that, but like, she's like, you find out that she's like part of a race called the Ancients, and so there's some kind of power that, like, would bring her back or whatever. So without spoiling it, but I'm sure if you haven't heard about it in 20 years, you've had plenty of time. So I really don't give a if I'm spoiling it for you or not. But obviously she dies. Sephiroth kills her, and it's one of those things where it was the first time you ever really saw like a main party character not just get killed, but killed in that fashion. I mean, like this
Yeah,
was,
not like dying in combat, like story wise
yeah, this
dying.
was not preventable. This was a story cutscene, and it was an amazing cutscene. Like back then, for what it was, their CGI or whatever for their cutscene, it was an amazing cutscene. It was really sad to see the one piece of materia that she owned that was worthless, that belonged to her mom. After she gets stabbed, it rolls off like a marble and just kind of rolls down the little thing. It was just such a sad moment. So the thing is they've redesigned her, and we saw her for the first time in the trailer, and I'm sure in the next one coming in June they're finally going to reveal what Tifa looks like. But I will say that when they showed Aerith, you could ask Gravehonor, like I literally gasped. I was like, like I couldn't believe how real they made her look, and now it's gonna make that death scene that much more
All the
painful.
more, yeah.
So I'm gonna throw up. Well,
Control all your emotions.
I'm gonna put up the photo, the still shot from the trailer of the new Aerith changes, and yeah. So this is
Feast
Aerith.
your eyes.
This is Aerith now, and she's so, like, she's got these piercing eyes, and you can't see it in this shot, but like they redid her necklace, so she's not just wearing like the little tie around her neck. It's actually got a little flower attached to it, and it's pretty amazing. And I'm actually gonna make this a little bit bigger. I know it's gonna go over our little layout screen here, but this this is just how far we've come in games. I mean, or even in just CGI. But on the left here is original, the original Aerith model, and on the right this is the new Aerith, and I just, that alone makes me want to go ahead and just say that I'm gonna get the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Final Fantasy freak. Everybody knows that, but they also know that I didn't like any of the games past 10, because with 10 they left turn based. They left turn based behind. They went to action RPG, and but they promise that this one is much better than combat system and everything than what people experienced in Final Fantasy 15, which I still have not given Final Fantasy 15 a chance yet. I will eventually, but they're saying that the combat system is going to be more um, based around like Kingdom Hearts 3. So for me, I probably will go ahead and pick that up at some point. I don't know if it'll be like it was for Red Dead 2, where I'm sitting at the game store waiting to get the very first copy sold or anything, but I'll definitely be picking it up. So for me, that was really about it. I was excited about the medieval HD remake, and I'm starting to get more excited about the Final Fantasy stuff that they're giving us. So, but that was it. Like their state of play was super short, and I think most of it was that they were teasing. They were using all the things in the beginning as a teaser for the longer ending. Like, stick around, watch this little bit of crap so that we can show you the new Final Fantasy trailer. I feel like that's really all that was, which is
Mhm.
fine. It was good. So yeah, now the ball is in Nintendo's court. Like, show me that 2 minute Animal Crossing trailer, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, and from the state of play, I mean, I'm still curious about Final Fantasy, but that wouldn't really be a day one buy for me. I'll probably watch it, and maybe if it gets a price drop, I would finally give it a try. The only reason I didn't really avoid it like out of like bitterness or like, I don't want to play. I think the game is stupid and overhyped. That not like that. Um, excuse me. Um, It's just that with the older Final Fantasy games, I just kept seeing them a mixture of real time and turn based. Like you wait until a bar fills, and as you make your decision when a character's bar is full, you have to, pick from the menu and do what you want. But as you're choosing, the other character's bars are filling and the monsters are attacking you, and I just don't like that. I want straight turn based or regular action. I don't want an awkward mix of both.
Sure.
But that's just me.
Now I will say this: if you're talking about Final Fantasy VII specifically, you can go into the menu and change it from what they called ATB, which was active time battle, which is where, like, if you're trying to decide on what to do, the monster's gauge is still charging, and he may attack while you're if you're taking too long. But you can change it from ATB to regular turn based, just so you know.
I'm not really sure because I tried like a DS remake or something of one of the Final Fantasies. I don't
Hmm.
remember what, but I think it had Cecil a Dragoon or Dragon Knight or something, and I did play it for a bit. But they still had the action time battle system, and the only thing I could do to change it was that if I was using items, they wouldn't attack me.
Right.
But everything else, it was still too bad.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
still
not.
played for a while anyway because I just bought it, but then I had to rage quit at a boss that just seemed really unfair.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which Final Fantasy that is because they have a tendency to recycle names throughout all the Final Fantasies. So you'll always have like your Sids and your Cecils and a few other ones as well. So, um,
Yeah, anyway, I keep getting distracted. So yeah, so the two of them that I kind of looked at was a game called River Bond, which is a kind of cute looking voxel hack and slash dungeon crawler. You can play cooperatively and locally with friends and complete missions, find treasure, and defeat monsters and bosses. And it could be coming this year, this summer, to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Wow, not actually didn't say anything about Switch. Oh wait, never mind. It actually does say Switch version confirmed sometime after launch.
now is that the one that we saw that was like that is one I left off of the state of play, but is that the one that had like the pixelated dungeon crawler looking thing?
Yeah, that's the voxel hack and slash. How it's all
Okay.
cubey looking and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's cute because it kind of reminded me of like a more dungeon crawlery hack and slashy looking 3D dot game heroes, which I should have finished that game. It was a pretty cool and cute game to like um odd to nostalgia games. But anyway, they'll also have 8 crossover skins from select indie games that the creators love. Um, and these guest skins are hidden in treasure chests. So I don't recognize all of them, and I don't remember all of them. Let's see if it lists it here. Okay, they do. They got Raz from Psychonauts, uh, Juan from Guacamelee, I think. Is that how you say it?
Guacamole. Yeah.
Um, Lover Moo, Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, Robot 05, Planet of the Eyes, The Kid and Bastion, Demelza and Knights and Bikes, Shovel Knight, and Bulletkin in Enter the Gungeon.
Hmm. Well, at least he didn't go to the manatee showing of that movie.
Shush! So yeah, it seems like a cute, simple hack and slash thing with some QB graphics. So I would probably get it sale If it's physical or if it's digital, it's probably gonna be a while before it goes on sale. But yeah, I'm simple to please sometimes. And the second one is called Away the Survival series. You play as a sugar glider and step inside a wildlife documentary and experience nature from an entirely new perspective. In the distant future, natural disasters threaten the survival of every species on the planet. Venture deep into the wilderness in search of safe sanctuary and steer clear of fires or storms. Furthermore, you must jump, climb, and glide through a wide variety of landscapes such as forests, caverns, and canyons to avoid predators. So it will be coming on PlayStation 4 and Steam as far as they know. So yeah, it's cute because I love sugar gliders and rodents, but I'm just not sure about the survival aspect, mostly because I suck at it. Yeah, I would keep an eye on that.
Okay.
So I think that's it with the state of play. I mean, it had a couple. I think it had like that Predator game, but we don't really.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Predator. I mean, they've made so many attempts at doing Predator games. I can't even keep track. Aliens and Predators, and I knew right away. Like as soon as like it showed those guys walking through the forest, and as soon as it showed like the clear see-through silhouette, I was like, "Oh, this is the Predator." Like I've seen the movies enough to know. Actually, I don't think I've ever watched the first movie all the way through, but when I was a kid, I know as weird as this sounds, my parents bought me some VHS tapes for my birthday one year, and they were like, "Yes, I'm that old." VHS tapes. So I had Critters, which was a horror movie, Child's Play, which was a horror movie, and Predator 2. And those were the only three movies that I owned for a long time. So I watched them over and over. And even though I was like, I don't know, 10, 10, 11 years old
Dang.
watching these horror movies, it kind of desensitized me to a lot of stuff because Predator was a scary movie, but also had like a pretty uh graphic and graphically intense sex scene in one part of it. So any 10-year-old boy that gets his hands on that movie, but like Child's Play had a lot of blood and killing and cursing, and Critters was like a campy movie because it was like these little space porcupines that came on Earth and like started at this farm, but they like eat everything. They're like crazy. It was a crazy movie. It spawned like several sequels. But the coolest story that I have about Critters was I did really like that movie growing up. They were puppets, and so but they had like this sense of humor about them too. Like I remember, two of the critters are standing on the front porch and they're coming up the steps, and the guy shoots them with a shotgun, and it just grazes the top of one of their heads and gives them a bald spot, and they curse like they speak in their language, but it has subtitles at the bottom, and so they would curse. They would like curse, and then one of the other one's laughing and making fun of his now bald head. Like the two critters are making fun of each other. They're supposed to be like these like predator mean things. But in the first and second movie, the star of that movie was a guy named Scott Grimes, and I actually got to know Scott, became friends with Scott. I worked with him a couple years ago, and then Scott has gone on. He does the voice for the son Steve on the cartoon American Dad. But on the new show on Fox, the Orville, that's kind of like Star Trek but with Seth MacFarlane. He's actually on that show as well, but as a real person. Like he's not. It's not a cartoon, so he's himself. And Scott's a really cool guy. He also does music. He has a band. He's been in a lot of movies, ton of movies, and he was on ER for a long time. Um,
Huh.
so, but it was just kind of neat. Like one of the first VHS that I ever owned growing up, and then later in life, I become friends with the person who was in that movie. It's just
Hmm.
kind of like an awesome feeling. So, anyway, yeah, horror movies, yay,
I can't really share the yay because I'm a wimp.
yeah. I've seen cartoons that are not all that scary, but they're scary to you, and that's okay. Everybody's scared by different things.
We almost had to quit that one horror anime just because I'm that much of a wimp.
Oh yeah, the
I
ghost
still
hunting
powered
one.
through it though.
Yeah, That was a crazy
Can't
anime.
help but the doll one almost broke me. Like the creepy doll ones. I don't
Yeah.
like a lot of things. Anyway.
Now I saw. I don't know if this is a game you keep up with, but I saw on the Switch they re-released Katamari Damacy or whatever re-roll. So I don't. Is that a game that you were interested in or played or whatever?
Eh. I played the first two before, and they're fun for a while, but then I can't really continue
I
after
feel
they make some new goals, and it is silly for a bit, but I can't really stay interested in it for the long run
I feel like the
or
last
the
time
long
you
goal.
I feel like the last time that you were here at my house, you made me play that game on the
No, I
computer.
don't think so.
I feel like you did, cause otherwise I didn't know about that game, but I think you were telling me that it was like an odd game, and I think
Maybe I just showed you the trailer because that's a really weird opening.
I don't know. I think it was for the older game for like the PlayStation or PlayStation 2, and I think you made me play it on an emulator for about 5 minutes. I'm not sure.
I really don't
I
remember.
I can't remember either. I
I
mean it.
want to say it's more likely I just showed you some gameplay in the trailer of it. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a very odd game.
yeah, it's possible. It's a weird game. Well, all those strange games that come out of Japan like that, they are very odd.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So for you guys that are checking out the podcast but hearing it not live, when you listen to it on YouTube and stuff like that, um, you know, don't feel like you can't interact. If you do comment on the YouTube stuff, I would definitely reply or take things into consideration. But we had some people that felt like we needed a new layout with some animated stuff, and so I kind of did that, but we're still working on some other stuff so that we don't have this static graphic up. But I do like having this static graphic for the purpose of reminding everybody that it's every Tuesday at 3 p.m. But if you guys have ideas for certain guests that you want us to have on the show, whether they're gamers, whether they're streamers, whether they're so and so actor or voice actor that has something to do. Like I don't mind bringing in regular actors that have absolutely nothing to do with video games, but it's a plus if they have some experience voicing over games or cartoons or anime or something that just kind of strike home with the audience. Obviously, we don't want like somebody who was an extra that played a zombie on The Walking Dead because I mean, there's really not much for you to talk about. But
Hmm.
as far as like certain people that you guys would like to see, drop them in the comments. Let us know, and I'll do my best. Like I'm pretty well connected in that genre and in that circle, so I can pretty much get hold of just about anybody, and through the people I know, they can get hold of who I can't. So, but I have a few ideas for people I'd like to get on as guests, and like I said, we're working on a couple. Hopefully by next month, we're gonna have some new guests for the show. Uh,
Hmm. And then there's that one time we had Paul Hebs on here.
oh yeah, well you can't forget Paul Hebbs. I mean,
Hmm.
having Paul Hebbs on the show was probably our most viewed show. And he did try to play some live music, but his guitar was so powerful that it just cut out Discord completely.
Hmm.
So,
What a shame.
are there any other games coming out that you're looking forward to, or games that have just recently come out? Like I'm so looking forward to playing Devil May Cry 5 on my computer. It came with my graphics card, but I have not gotten around to playing it yet. And I'll be honest, I did play the Devil May Cry HD remaster, but I haven't played anything beyond that. And I do like that game, but I feel like I need to play through the first four before I delve into this one on the PC for Devil May Cry 5. Um, but I haven't really seen a list of upcoming games other than a few here and there on those like state of plays and stuff that I personally am really looking forward to. Other than the obvious stuff, I mean, we got Animal Crossing and Pokemon Sword and Shield coming out later this year.
Hmm. Um, I mean, other than the stuff we've probably already mentioned, I just looked at some news articles for games that sound interesting that I never would have heard of or looked at. So I'm not sure if I would personally get it, but I'd like to look at them and share them in case anyone else would be curious, and maybe I would get interested too. But there's a game called Scouts Honor, and it's set to release on Steam and other major consoles later this year. It features 4 playable characters, and it's about teamwork, and you partner up with your friends and family to become the greatest scout and set up camp together. So you'll be able to use unique scouting skills to create the best campsite possible, placing campfires and tents are just the beginning, and you can build from in-game blueprints.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, you take control of one of the 4 scouts, go camping, use scouting skills to place blueprints and utilize tools like tents and campfires, work as a team, use a natural environment to source the items you need, and of course there's hazards like ghosts, spiky traps, fire, and water.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting game, like kind of building co-op game, but with camping as the setting. And in a way, I'm jokingly curious about it because I don't really camp, and I'll definitely not camp this summer because I think it's going to be raining all the time. It's been raining for almost a month straight, it feels like here, and I'm tired of it. Like, well, I want to go camping. Well, I guess I'm going to play Scouts Honor instead. Kind of joke.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in real life, my brother went out and bought some camping tents, and you know how we are with fishing and stuff already. So
Mm-hmm.
he's ready to go. He's like, he busted out the tent and had it set up in the front yard, like just to see how big it was. And you know what? For what they are, they're really cool because you don't have to do anything to set them up. Like you just unstrap them and they pop up and fold up on their own. So it's like
Oh, that's
you
cool.
don't have to like do the whole thing where you're like bending poles to get your tent set up. And
Yeah.
it's a 2 person tent, so I
That's
have.
always cool. I think, like, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, so it's a 2 person tent. Like I have one, he has one, and even though it is a 2 person tent, like for one person, it's a very roomy, nice tent. And yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about one day eventually us getting out to use them because we're talking about doing like a camp out on the beach and doing fishing from the shore and overnight catch and cook. So anything that we catch while we're camping out or whatever, go ahead and clean it up and cook it on the little grill right there and just do like one overnight camping thing. And I'm excited for that in a way, but I don't know how soon it's
Mm-hmm.
possible, for us to do that.
You'd have to find a spot that you're actually allowed to do like overnight camping on a beach.
Yeah, we have one of the beaches has like a designated state park type area where you can camp out and you can have fires and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Most of the places you can't, but there is one spot on the north end of one of our beaches that they allow you to do that. My luck, I set my tent up, I get do everything, and then I finally lay down to go to sleep, and then the tide comes in and it just washes me in the tent away because the water came up so high. That would be my luck, but anyway, uh, I
Salty morning bath.
yeah, well, I'm gonna have to get the practice in by playing some Sega bass fishing for Paul Hebbs,
Mm-hmm. That
which
should be one of the games you stream then too to make him happy.
yeah, eventually I'll get there. It's such an awkward game to play without having the little fishing pole controller for the Dreamcast. Like,
I never would have imagined that a gimmicky sounding controller would play better than a regular. I mean,
well,
it's really cool that it does play better, but usually it's the other way.
so here's the thing. So like Sega Bass Fishing in the arcade, that's where it started, and it had a fishing pole, and it worked like a fishing pole. Like you crank the thing to reel stuff in, and if you started vibrating and feeling tension on it, you would stop and release and let the fish run with the line for a little bit, and then when he tired out, you start reeling him back in. So the one that they ported over to the PC through Steam, when you're using a regular controller, you still feel the vibrations, but you're not like moving the fishing rod around. Like in the game, it would tell you like move your rod up, move your rod left, move your right. Hold your rod down. And in
Hmm.
this, you're doing that with the thumbstick, and so that doesn't feel very good. And as far as reeling it in, you're just pulling and holding the trigger button. And once the line is too tight or about to snap, you just let go of the trigger button until it gets out of yellow and then start doing it again. And so it's not the same. You're not getting that like
It's
feeling.
pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, it's not that feeling of like wiggling it around with the fishing rod and reeling it in with the reels. And so the PC version, I give that about a 6.5. The arcade version, I give it, for a fishing game, I give it an 8. You know,
Ooh.
but the experience on the PC is just not quite the same. And I don't think they make a like a ported over Dreamcast fishing rod controller. I'm sure somebody's figured it out how to like, wire it up and make it work through a USB, but it wouldn't be official, and which means it probably wouldn't even have the vibration of the fish hitting the rod or whatever. So I don't know. Anyway, it's weird, but I may give it a shot just for our man Paul Hebbs.
I guess speaking of that, I'll quickly just say this news that I saw earlier today. Bandai Namco announces two fishing related games for the Switch in a day.
Hmm.
So, Bandai Namco has revealed that both Bakutsuri Bar Hunter and Fishing Spirits Nintendo Switch version are coming to the Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure if that means it will come out only in Japan or not, but
Right now you have a.
it says Bakutsuri Bar Hunter is a free-to-play digital 3DS game that was part of a cross-media anime series. So it's going to be very exaggerated fishing.
Hmm.
Fishing Spirits is an arcade game that's getting new content for its Switch port. And there's an adventure mode as well as new fish species. So it doesn't exactly say anything about American release dates, but it would be interesting if they did.
Yeah, and you have another game that you've been watching, that Doraemon or whatever.
Yeah, the Doraemon Story of Seasons.
Hmm.
It still looks really good, and I don't know if we're gonna get one, but apparently Japan will at least get a demo of it. But I don't really need a demo of it. I know I'm getting it.
You know me, don't ask me about demos. Um,
hmm
so I will say that there is that one game still lurking out there that we're all waiting for, which is Re-Legend. I say you that we all, but I mean me and
Probably
Gravehonor.
just us two that would keep gabbing on about it because we want it so bad.
Well, I would imagine with all the people that put all that money into their Kickstarter, they're waiting for that
Yeah.
game too. Like they really want to get it going. Oh, and for those of you that hear me talk about it, no, I do not play Minecraft. I play a game called Creativerse, which is very similar. And they recently redid their engine to optimize, and the game is playing a lot better. It used to be that every couple of feet, like the game would do this like stutter, and it would make it really hard to like time jumps, and you would sometimes fall to your death or whatever. But um, this new engine that they've got, plus some quality of life changes. I did go on there and test them out, and it does seem to be working a lot better. So if anybody's ever been interested in testing that out, now's a
hmm
good time.
And
And
unlike Minecraft, it's free to play unless you choose to buy the pro version where you get like a hang gliding
and
thing for $20 and
yeah,
other stuff.
and
So it's not necessary.
right, and even if you do, which I did, it they make that $20 worth it, because there's a lot of new options you can change in the game, like zero gravity. You could choose whether you want the monsters to be aggressive or not, so that you don't always have to fight every time you run into something. But probably for me, the best part was it came like that beginner pack came with, or the pro pack. It came with so many new recipes, and if you're a crafting junkie like I am, um, it gave you so much stuff, and it gave you like these special potions, a special golden sword. That's the only way you can get the recipe to make those. But they give you a good quantity of them before you ever even have to make any. But the recipe's there if you ever want to make them. And some of it is vanity stuff, like the golden potion does nothing but make you sparkle for like 5 minutes, like you're made out of gold. But it is a really good game. I just don't get to play it nearly as often. But I had some really nice little towns and stuff built in there, and I think if you are a fan of Minecraft, you'll like it, because it's basically, in one sense, it's like as if somebody took a bunch of mods and just polished up Minecraft to look a lot nicer, and more up to date. But then there might be some hardcore Minecraft people that don't like it because it's a Minecraft clone. It's just ripping off Minecraft. When in a way it's not. It's kind of its own game. But think about it. Give it a shot. Um,
So I mean, hey, it's free to give it a shot.
yeah, it's free. The other thing I would highly recommend, and this is the last thing I'll say. I know Gravehonor is gonna head off here to hi Makomi. Um, I know Gravehonor is gonna head off here shortly and start doing her Animal Crossing. And as soon as the podcast is over, we're gonna send you guys over to that. And
If I can quickly fit in a couple things
yeah,
before I do.
you go ahead, and then I'll finish it out with the things I have to say while you're getting your stream set up. Go ahead.
Hmm?
You said you had some things to get out.
Oh, oh yeah. Sorry,
No,
I got
I
confused.
was saying, go ahead and say all that stuff, and then go ahead into your stream, and then I'll finish up.
So I guess
Um,
the last couple of games I would have to mention, I guess, if I can hopefully not ramble on too long, is there's a game on Kickstarter called Transform Ice Adventures, and if you have browsed Steam, you might have seen a game called Transform Ice, which is like a free platforming crazy game where I guess the rules can change or something. I've actually never played it because I didn't quite understand it, but the same people who made that and Dead Maze, a zombie survival free to play game, um, they're making Transform Ice Adventures, which is most likely going to be free to play, judging by their other two games. Action MMO, which of course you play as mice and you can have pets, and there's a random aspect to it. And I did try the demo a little bit. I might think about streaming the demo maybe tomorrow at some point to show it a little bit, but they are still technically on Kickstarter and they're not fully funded yet. So it's a very rough, like alpha first look demo, but still, I would I might showcase it and talk about it and such like that. Um, and I guess on the other side, I I've talked about Snacko a lot, right?
mm-hmm.
Like an indie game with like cats in it, and they gave an April update, so I don't remember if I actually talked about it at the time or it came out too close at the end of April, so I didn't talk about it because we missed a couple of podcasts. But there is crafting. You find recipes by talking to characters and discovering stuff in new locations. You may be required to build things around the farm in areas outside, which means you explore places other than your farm. And it seems you can also make tools that are needed to perform certain activities like fishing rods, stuff like that.
Huh.
And then there is cooking, which is very cute. So with cooking, you can follow recipes from a book, but you can also experiment and it'll record what you've learned. For example, there will be ones that require specific food items, like you need tomatoes for tomato soup, and there'll be ones that are more general, like a fruit tart. You can pick any kind of fruit and any attribute that adds a sweet flavor. And all consumables will have categories like vegetables or meats, as well as whether it tastes sweet, sour, etc. So you can get creative with making stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have camping out. Since they're islands that are far away from home, you need a way to kind of rest to stay there so you don't want to go back and forth and waste time just traveling. So you have a very appropriate item to camp out in: cardboard boxes. So you bring cardboard boxes with you to stay dry, but you also have to make sure you don't find a place that's like too wet or raining and make sure you find some shade. You can get them for free from shops sometimes or out in the junkyard. And each box can be used up to 3 times. So it's cute that you can have a little cardboard box to rest in.
Huh.
And there will be some passing seasons, and they're actually also going to release some physical merchandise.
Dang, sounds
So
like
you
they have
can
a
continue
lot
to support the
planned.
game on Patreon and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like they have a lot planned for that.
Yes, so it's probably good that they're not like rushing to release it, and I think they want it sometime out next year. Don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna mention like two more, but I think it's alright if you like 401, so I'll just mention one more
Okay.
just because it seems outrageous. I found an ad for this for a game that's coming out on Steam, so you can wishlist it to know when it's done for release. But it says it should come out this year in summer. Res Please, but spelled PLZ, and Res as in REZ, like resurrection. Um, Res Please is a pixel art puzzle platformer where one or two players control two wizard brothers who possess the power of resurrection. The game features traditional platforming elements, dangerous enemies, and puzzle elements that require the player to sacrifice one of the wizard brothers to advance.
Oh wow.
So they're not very good wizards, and the only thing they know how to do is each other, and there is a lot of dying.
Oh
So
goodness.
here is more about what it says, and thankfully it's not too terribly long because it's kind of new. In the most dire time in history, the fate of the world is in the unlikely hands of two apprentice wizards. They are not grade A students, in fact, they don't know any spells really. The only magic they have is a scroll allowing them to resurrect each other if they are accidentally killed bumbling up a spell during their studies. They are not necessarily made up of the stuff of heroes, but they are the only hope humanity has. After a thousand-year pact, an order of wizards has decided to upset the balance and destroy all other magic in the world in ascent to absolute control and power. Reds Please is an underdog tale for one or two players, local co-op though, where
Mm,
you must rely on being clever and resourceful instead of being overpowered wonder mages. The game features traditional platforming with a unique blend of death-driven puzzles and cooperative gameplay providing a unique adventure. In true old school fashion, everything can kill you in one hit, and there are tons of hazards, traps, and monsters that want to kill you and keep you dead. As the brothers progress, they will unlock new spells that they haven't quite mastered yet, but will help them at least with some tricks in the game.
okay. I like hearing about co-op games. I just hate that, when
It's
it's
couch co op
yeah,
only.
yeah, when it's just local co-op. So, all right.
Phew.
All right. Well, good for you. Go ahead and go get your stream started, and I'll close out today's show. And when we're done, hopefully we'll get everybody over here joining you over for your Animal Crossing, and hopefully you'll have your fishing rod by
Oh my god, I hope so.
then.
Anyway, I guess I'll get that started. Laters.
All right. So yeah, guys, just to recap, really excited about the new character models on Final Fantasy VII. I'll throw those back up real quick just for a last minute thing. Um, Super excited about that. I feel like rather than play the game, I'd be a lot more interested in watching all the cutscenes together as a movie, to be honest. So I know that's pretty weird. So here's what we can expect going into um excuse me. Ugh, I just got like the driest throat all of a sudden. So here's what you guys can expect going into the rest of this week. So I probably will stream something later this evening. I haven't decided. It might be Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, just 'cause I'm trying to make a lot of progress on there, and I felt like I got pretty far through there yesterday. And then Wednesday, of course, is going to be Persona 5 until we're done with that. So, where my weebs at. Um, Friday normally is Final Fantasy Day, so we're still pushing through on Final Fantasy X. And then um, Saturday, haven't really decided, but Sunday for sure is going to be Red Dead Redemption, the original, the first one, the John Marston story. And part of the reason why we have the new emote for the scared horses is for anybody that is familiar with that stream and know about the different glitches that I've had since streaming and how many times my horses have gotten killed or died or done stupid things for stupid reasons. And so we came up with a scared horse emote, and I actually really like it. So hope you guys are enjoying that. And we are pretty much done here for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I am going to check and see if Gravehonor has gotten her stuff up and going. Again, she is playing um, Animal Crossing. So if you're an Animal Crossing fan, she's playing the original, still waiting to get a fishing rod. Rip. But she is also playing Animal Crossing City Folk as well as a couple of others. And we're hoping that you guys will join over there. But until then, enjoy your day. Enjoy this ending song I'm about to send you guys off with. Um, you know what? Let's send you off with some heavy. And we'll see you again next time. We'll see you guys again next Tuesday.